Naruto left the main arena and found his team waiting for him. "Everything alright?" Hinata asked. "Yeah, the old man just told me my godfather was in town. I didn't even know I had one," Naruto replied, chuckling. "Godfather? Who is he?" Kurenai asked. "Jiraiya of the Sannin," Naruto said and laughed at their faces. "I know, I had the same reaction when the old man told me." "How are we doing this, sensei?" Naruto asked. "Well, I can't train you at the same time, otherwise it would be unfair, as you will probably face each other in the finals," Kurenai said. "You can give your full time to Hinata. I'll pester my godfather for some training," Naruto said. "Okay," Kurenai replied. "See you later, Hinata," Naruto said. He kissed her cheek and left. Konoha's Hot Springs. Naruto walked through Konoha, heading towards an objective: meet his godfather at the Hot Springs. Konoha's Hot Springs were relatively small when compared to other exotic destinations, but it was enough for a village like Konoha. Naruto calmly walked through the village. He was still tired from opening all the gates and got berated by Kurama, who had to heal him. No pain, no gain, right? Naruto quickly arrived at his destination and found it surprisingly calm on the outside. Normally, on a warm day like this, one should find the hot springs with more guests. In the end, it was better this way. Naruto entered the hot springs and made his way towards the reception desk. Sitting on the chair behind the desk was a woman around 40 years old. She had neck-length black hair and brown eyes. "Good afternoon. I would like to know if there's someone called Jiraiya using the hot springs," Naruto asked. "Not that I'm aware of, dear," she replied, and Naruto raised an eyebrow at her kind tone. "There's a couple of kunoichis, but the male section is completely empty," she finished and explained. Naruto sighed and walked out. When he came outside, he noticed that Ebisu was there. "Peeping on women again, eh, closet pervert?" Naruto asked, making Ebisu jump. "Such a rude comment. I'm a gentleman," Ebisu explained. Sure. That's why you're blushing and have a small trickle of blood in your nose," Naruto said, pointing at him. "Nonsense," Ebisu said, waving him off. "Shouldn't you be training? I heard you'll be facing Sasuke Uchiha. He's a prodigy, you know," Ebisu said. Yeah, Sasuke's great, I know. Once I drive his ass to the ground in front of everyone, no one will say that again," Naruto said, smirking. "You really think you can defeat an Uchiha? Nonetheless, the Rookie of the Year? Even a Genin can kill a Kage," Naruto replied, much to the surprise of Ebisu. "Besides, instead of peeking, shouldn't you be training Konohamaru?" Naruto asked. Ebisu thought for a moment and came with the perfect excuse for being there. "I was testing the hot water to see if it was good so that Konohamaru could train chakra control," Ebisu stated, smugly, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "Does he think he fools anyone?" Naruto thought. Naruto was about to reply when they heard giggling from the hot springs roof. They both scanned the area and found a man with a small telescope peeping on the women that were taking a bath. "I will not tolerate such behavior in my presence," Ebisu yelled and dashed at the man. "Damn, ruining my research," the man thought as he erupted in a puff of smoke and revealed the toad. The toad quickly sent his tongue and wrapped it around Ebisu, slamming him on the ground and knocking him out cold. Toads? Naruto thought as he watched the man. He was a tall man with waist-length spiky white hair tied back into a ponytail, with two shoulder-length bangs that framed from both sides of his face. He also had red lines that ran down from his eyes and wore a horned forehead protector with the kanji for oil. He also had a noticeable wart on the left side of his nose. He wore a green short shirt, kimono, and matching pants, under which he wore mesh armor that showed out of the sleeves and legs of his outfit. His outfit was completed with handguards, a simple black belt, traditional Japanese wooden sandals, a red haori with two simple yellow circles on each side, and a scroll on his back. He also had a tattoo in his left palm which resembles one that Gamma has on his as well. "Are you Jiraiya?" Naruto asked as he faced the man. Jiraiya looked at the young blonde, asking who he was. He suddenly started dancing and saying, "I may look like another Sannin, but there is no place that you can hide from me. From the north, east, west, and south, the women kneel before me. I am the gallant Jiraiya," Jiraiya said as he stopped dancing to see Naruto staring at him. "Why is everyone in this village an idiot? The old man is a pervert, Kakashi is always late, my grandmother is a gambler, and now my godfather is an idiot and a pervert?" Naruto thought inside and wondered why his father picked him all of these people. "Now that I think about it, I wonder who my godmother is," Naruto mused and thought. "Are you really my godfather?" Naruto asked, not really wanting to know the truth. "Godfather? Naruto?" Jiraiya asked the blonde kid. Now that he looked at him, he really looked like Minato. He had grown well since the last time he saw him, which was around 4 years old. Yeah, Naruto replied. You've grown, Jiraiya said as he approached him and kneeled to his level. Man, you must be a lady killer. I think I just found my next source of inspiration, Jiraiya stated, laughing and patting his back. I wonder why my father chose you, Naruto replied as his eyes twitched. You know who your father is? Jiraiya asked with his eyes widened. Yeah, I've known since I was 5. Since you don't know, I guess you haven't been in the village since then, Naruto said, and the Toad Sage nodded. If you are here now, how about you help me train for the Chunin exams, Naruto asked, and Jiraiya thought for a moment before he started to giggle. I'll train you under one condition, Jiraiya said. Naruto knew he would most likely regret this, but asked, what condition? I want you to get me some mature root, Jiraiya said, giggling perversely while making gestures with his arms to form the figure of an elegant woman. Naruto facepalmed before a grin came to his lips. I have something better for you, Naruto said, smirking, to which Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. He activated his Sharingan, displaying his full power to Jiraiya. Before Jiraiya could even say anything, Naruto locked eyes with him and said, Magen, harem viewing technique, and Jiraiya was dragged in some hot springs that kinda looked like Konoha's, but they weren't. Jiraiya, a blonde girl said as she was approaching Jiraiya, who was already submersed in the water. The girl had light blonde hair and brown eyes with a purple diamond-shaped mark on her forehead. She had a slender frame, but what stood out was her body. Tsunade, I know you love me. Come here, Jiraiya said as he nearly passed out from the blood loss. Did he say Tsunade? Oh, hell no, Naruto thought before he abruptly ended the technique. Jiraiya got mad. You stay away from Granny, you pervert, Naruto yelled, pointing at him. Granny and Sharingan. You have a lot to explain, Jiraiya said in a serious tone. Fine, but you can't tell anyone. What do you want to know first? Naruto asked. How do you have the Sharingan? Jiraiya asked. My father never told you, but my grandfather was Madara Uchiha, Naruto said and smirked at his face. Jiraiya had his jaw wide open. Madara? It can't be, Jiraiya said, stuttering and allowing his brain to process the information. From what my father told me, Madara didn't die in his fight with Hashirama. Years later, my father was born, and when Madara's wife died, he left my father in the village, Naruto explained, and Jiraiya nodded dumbly. What do you mean from what your father told you? Jiraiya asked curiously. I don't really know how he did it, but when I awakened my Sharingan at 5 years old, he appeared in my mindscape and explained everything, Naruto explained. It certainly is possible that Brat was always a genius, Jiraiya thought as he processed the information. I wonder how you never found out, Naruto said and snapped Jiraiya from his thoughts, getting a confused face from him. What I mean is that, for example, the Rasengan he created was derived from the tailed beast bomb. He saw it with his Sharingan. He couldn't copy it, but he could see how it worked, and after a bit of effort, he created this, Naruto said, and extended his hand, showing his perfect Rasengan. You can do the Rasengan? Who taught it to you? Jiraiya asked. It wasn't every day you saw a 14-year-old pull out our A-ring jutsu. No one. I read my father's scroll and trained, but I prefer the Raikiri or the Chidori for battles. I only use the Rasengan when I need to destroy something, Naruto said, grinning. Raikiri? Jiraiya asked, and his face paled when he saw Naruto's hand spark on electricity. What kind of monster are you? Jiraiya asked. A fox, Naruto replied, laughing his ass off when he saw Jiraiya's jaw drop. I think you can't surprise me anymore. Now tell me what that was about Tsunade being your grandmother, Jiraiya said. Exactly that. She was my mother's mother. My mother was Kushina Uzumaki, right? Naruto asked, and Jiraiya nodded. My mother's real name was Kushina Senju, and she was the daughter of Tsunade Senju, Naruto explained. I knew Tsunade had a daughter, but I heard she died. I never realized she was Kushina, Jiraiya thought out loud. That makes you a member of the Senju clan and also the Uchiha clan, Jiraiya said. Pretty much, Naruto said. Do you know where Tsunade is? I promised the old man that I would bring her back after all. She still has me for family, Naruto concluded. Good luck with that. She lost everything and left the village for good. I've tried to talk to her, but it's no good. I guess maybe you can. After the Chunin exams, we'll go look for her, Jiraiya said. Any more surprises you have? He asked. Nope, I don't think I have any more, Naruto replied. So will you train me, Pervy Sage? Naruto asked. Jiraiya twitched at his nickname. Don't call me that, idiot. Fine, I'll teach you a couple of things. Let's go to another spot, he replied, with Naruto and Jiraiya. Okay, I'll teach you this killer technique. Jiraiya then slammed his palm on the ground and erupted in smoke, revealing a toad with a large scroll on his tongue. Summoning contract. I already have one, Naruto said, and Jiraiya's eyes twitched. Which one do you have? Jiraiya asked. Foxes, Naruto replied, and got a confused face from Jiraiya. There is no fox contract, Jiraiya stated with his arms crossed. Naruto bit his thumb and flashed through hand seals and slammed his hand on the ground. When the smoke cleared, Kinto appeared. This is Kinto, a tracking fox. Naruto's fox and Kinto gave Jiraiya his fox grin. Where did you get it? Jiraiya asked. Kyuubi gave it to me, Naruto said, and Jiraiya just couldn't believe it. You already talked to him? Jiraiya asked, and Naruto nodded. Just be careful. Foxes are known to be cunning, Jiraiya said. Naruto nodded. If he knew Kurama's cage was open, he would freak, Naruto thought, chuckling. So, anything else you can teach me? Naruto asked. Fine, let's start with this, Jiraiya said. The next couple of jutsus are of my own creation. Use your Sharingan. It's easier for you to memorize the seals, Jiraiya said, and Naruto activated his eyes. Ninja art, Needle Guardian, Jiraiya said, and immediately his hair grew out and formed a shell around his body, protecting him. Your turn, he said. That's cool. I wonder what mine will look like since I'm a blonde. Naruto said and performed the same as Jiraiya. After the third try, Naruto could perform this jutsu effortlessly, and could rely on it for combat. Good. Remember, this jutsu only protects you from B ranks and below, Jiraiya explained, and Naruto nodded. Also, if you intend to rely on this jutsu for defense, you should let your hair grow out a bit like mine, so it would be quicker to use, Jiraiya explained. Now, I want to check if your Sengan is up to the standards. Clash it with mine, Jiraiya said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. I want to see if the compression, rotation, and general power is good enough, Jiraiya explained, and Naruto nodded, and both jumped back a few meters, facing each other. Both dashed forward with their palms facing one another, and yelled Rasengan at the same time. Both spheres clashed against one another, both fighting for supremacy. The confrontation continued for a few seconds until both spheres exploded and sent both Jiraiya and Naruto flying in opposite directions. They quickly regained their sense and landed on the ground without much trouble. Your Rasengan is good, Jiraiya said. Oh, by the way, who are you facing in the finals? He asked. I'm facing the last Uchiha, Naruto said, chuckling. He'll be in one hell of a ride when he finds out he isn't the last Uchiha, Jiraiya said, laughing. Perfect sage, Naruto called out, and his sensei's eyes twitched. You trained my father, right? He asked, and Jiraiya nodded before he continued. Do you know how he trained the Raishin? He asked. What do you mean? Jiraiya asked until a realization hit him. Don't tell me you can use it as well, he asked. Yes, I finished my version of the Shiki formula a couple months ago, but it's hard for me to do multiple jumps in quick succession. I tend to crash into something, Naruto explained. You said you finished your version of the Shiki formula, Jiraiya stated with his hands on his chin. How good are you with seals? Seal Master, level 10, Naruto stated, and Jiraiya crossed his arms and pouted, muttering something in the genius blondes. I knew your father used to train by placing Hiraishin seals on multiple places, making it kinda like a circuit. I believe he also trained his own agility and flexibility as well. He had the same problem as you when he first began, Jiraiya explained. Thanks, I'll do that, Naruto said. Perfect sage, I've been wondering, do you know who my godmother is? He asked, and Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. Godmother? I believe your mother chose Hana Hyuga. After all, Hana and Hiyashi were your parents' best friends, Jiraiya explained, while reminiscing about a few fun memories. Hinata's mother? Who would have known? Naruto said. What makes it so surprising? Jiraiya asked. Hinata's my girlfriend, Naruto stated, and that sent Jiraiya into a fit of perverted giggles, making Naruto's eyes twitch and wonder if it was wise to tell him that. I knew you were a heartthrob. You're going to make me richer, just like your parents, Jiraiya said. What do you mean? Naruto asked, confused, but when it came to his godfather, he already expected anything. I'm the author of these amazing books, Jiraiya said, and took an already too familiar orange book from his clothes. One of these books is based on your parents, Jiraiya said, giggling like a fangirl with a trickle of blood in his nose. You spied on my parents? Naruto asked, but it was more of a statement. Jiraiya nodded, quite proud of his accomplishments. If you do that to me and Hinata, I'll shove a Raikiri up your ass, Naruto said, and Jiraiya shivered at the thought. Calm down, it was only a joke. Or not, Jiraiya said, laughing his ass off at his expression. Are you really a Sannin? Naruto asked, getting more and more dubious of his supposed toad stage of a godfather. Just forget it, let's continue the training, Jiraiya said, and thought for a moment. Have you tried to use the Kyuubi's power? He asked. I can already use the Kyuubi's full power, Naruto said, much to the shock of Jiraiya. What do you mean, full power? Jiraiya asked. When I met my father at 5 years old, he opened the Kyuubi's cage so I can access all of his chakra, Naruto explained. You can control him? Jiraiya said, astonished. There were only a few people in history that could control the power of a Biju. They were Yagura and Killer Bee. That's the point. You don't control them, you work with them, Naruto explained. Are you telling me that you're friends? He asked. Pretty much, and I'm looking for a way to set him free. He doesn't deserve to be locked up and used as a weapon, Naruto said. You don't seem crazy if you were trying to set him free. And Minato opened the cage. I assume it wasn't his fault that the Kyuubi attacked 14 years ago, Jiraiya said. Exactly, when I was being born, someone attacked my mother and removed the Kyuubi from her. Then he used the Sharingan to control him and attacked the village, Naruto explained. But only Madara managed to control him, Jiraiya said. I know that from the history books, however my father knew it wasn't Madara. After all, my father would recognize his father's chakra signature, Naruto said. That makes more sense. Your father was a seal master, and there was no way the seal would break with him present, Jiraiya stated. Should I tell him about the Akatsuki? He seems much more mature than children of his age, and he's already strong, Jiraiya thought. I wasn't planning on telling you this, but I see that you are very mature to understand, Jiraiya said in a very serious tone. What is it now? Naruto asked. There is a group of S-rank criminals called the Akatsuki, and they are after the Biju, Jiraiya said. Why can't my life be simple? Naruto said as he sat on the ground. My life since birth has been an S-rank mission. I'm hated by almost everyone, and now I'll be chased by Kage-level ninjas, he said, sighing. You have it rough, but you have people that care about you. You have me, the Hokage, your girlfriend, and I bet you have more friends, Jiraiya said, and Naruto slowly nodded. Cling to those that you care about, and ignore the rest, he concluded. I guess, Naruto said. What's your dream? Jiraiya asked. To be Hokage, Naruto said with a small smile. The same dream as both his parents. I'll do my best to guide you there, Jiraiya thought. Then don't give up. Fight for what you want, Jiraiya said. I never give up and I never surrender, for that's my ninja way, Naruto said with renewed vigor as he jumped to his feet. Jiraiya smiled. Naruto reminded him so much of Minato, and Kushino is scary. He had Minato's intellect with Kushino's personality. Let's go, I'll treat you to some dinner, Jiraiya said. Yeah, ramen, here we go, Jiraiya said, and Jiraiya froze. Oh god, not ramen, Jiraiya thought while he cried anime tears in his mind.